Hello and welcome to Rainbow Talk with Tanya. Today we are going to talk a little bit about the events that happened at the Pool of Bethesda. This is going to be found in John chapter 5. I want to focus on verse 14, but just to give you guys a little background of those who may have not read the parable of the Pool of Bethesda. So Jesus went back to Jerusalem for a feast during that time, and there was this pool that like different seasons the angels would come and stir the water in the pool, and whoever would get so around this pool there lied, like a bunch of people that were crippled, paralyzed, blind, all kind of illnesses, sicknesses, diseases. They will all just gather and just lay near this pool, day in and day out, just lay near the pool, and they'll wait for the water to stir. And when the angel stirred the water, the first person that would get in the water would be healed. Right. So Jesus came across this man that was laying near the pool, and he asked him, what he was doing laying there or whatever. And he was like, I'm waiting for the pool to stir, but every time the pool stirs, somebody else gets in the water before me and I can't get healed. So going down the scriptures, eventually, Jesus heals him. But then verse 14 is what I really want to focus on. Verse 14 says, I'm gonna read. I have a Message translation here. I have an amplified translation here. I have my New King James translation, but I think I want to read it in an amplified translation. And it says, so after Jesus healed him, he saw him later on in the temple. The guy that he healed, he saw this man had been crippled for like 38 years, I believe it says. And Jesus, after he heals him, he sees him later on in the temple. And he was telling him that, I see that you are well. And he said, stop sinning or else something worse may happen to you. That's the part I want to focus in on today. Stop sinning or else something worse may happen to you. So, I was thinking, I was like, okay, so I wonder how many people are actually, they've experienced healing, right? God moves in a miraculous way, they're healed from whatever it is that, whatever ailment, that may have had them bound, in sickness or whatever, and God healed them. And then later on, it seemed like something else didn't happen, and they get healed and then something else didn't happen. It's like something always, but they call it bad luck, but it's not luck. It's not even a real thing. But and I think about this parable, I'm like, man, if God is telling this man, and it still apply to us, right? So God is saying, I've healed you. Now stop sinning unless something else worse may happen to you. So I want us to sit and think, if there may be, anyone that has questions as to why do I keep getting sick? Why am I getting worse? I get healed and I get worse. I get healed and I get worse again. And I want you to take a look at this parable and really study it to see what God is speaking to you, because it's saying that if, he heals you and then you go back into sin, something else worse can happen. So let's do a self-examination. Let's do a self-examination on, on our habits, our lifestyles, what we're involved in, what we're allowing ourselves to be engaged in, different things that God may consider sin, right? And let's repent of it, receive our healing, repent, and let's not go back into sin. And it may not even be the same sin you were in before. It can be something else that you struggle with or something like that, right? But sin is sin. So that can very well be an answer for someone who experiences, like back and forth, like I'm healed and I'm worse. I'm healed and I'm worse. I'm healed and I'm worse. But if there's sin there, Jesus is actually saying, once I heal you, stop sinning, so let something else worse will come on you. Read John. You can read the whole chapter, but at least the first 14 verses, it really, explains this. And then you can read it in different translations to get a more clear understanding of what this parable is saying, and sit with it and sit with God to see how it ministers to you. But yeah, we want to make sure that after we receive healing from God, that we try our best, absolute best, to live a sinless life. Like, we try our best to, now we all mess up and struggling and habitual sin is like two totally different things. A sinful lifestyle is different from somebody who is walking upright with God, but they may fall into something now and again here and there because they're struggling with something a little bit. But habitual sin, that's something totally different. So God is saying, Jesus is saying here in this parable, stop sinning. Once I heal you, stop sinning, unless something else will come upon you that could be worse. So let's take that into consideration. While we may be questioning, why is this yo-yo thing going on back and forth or whatever, let's take that into consideration, that, hey, let me reevaluate, let me think, okay, what am I doing that God is not pleased with? What kind of lifestyle am I living that God may not be okay with? What sin and am I okay with that God is not okay with? Because God is not okay with any sin. But what is it that I'm doing that's causing me to fall back into these sicknesses or illnesses or whatever could be going on, right? So I just wanted to point that out, because I think that that's something that's very important, and people may overlook the fact that if God heals you and you continue to sin, then we can allow something worse to come upon you, right? So I thought that was pretty good for, maybe an answer or a solution to someone who just have this constant question of why I keep getting sick after I'm healed and I'm sick back and forth, but yeah, let's do a self-evaluation on what sin could be in our lives that we need to get rid of, so that we can be totally free and totally restored and totally healed without falling back into sicknesses and diagnosis and all kind of stuff that we weren't even supposed to be dealing with in the first place, right? Because Jesus took care of all that stuff. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.